What we don't want is a repeat of
You don't have to tell me. I was there. I was like, Delvin.
Oh my God.
Straight up filling in for Jason.
I didn't even mean to do that. Like, I mean, it slipped out like I had a case of Tourette syndrome. It was like,
let's not eliminate that as a possibility, by the
way. I joke that I have undiagnosed ADHD. I can add Tourette's to it. That's fine. Go ahead, clink them bottles. Let's get it started. New Warriors, come out to play. Woo! Had extra oomph on that. Welcome everybody to come out to play a New Warriors podcast. I'm Delvin, aka the Dark Web. In case you're watching this by YouTube, which you would be doing now since we're live streaming it, or whatever you're listening, we'd love for you to hit the like and subscribe button. Jarrod might have a question for me. Have I introduced him? Did I eliminate that from the script accidentally? I sure did. Yeah, I'm supposed to be the Night Thrasher part of this. He's supposed to be the Nova part of this. And then he asked me a question. Hello, by the way, before we even get to that, too. Let's see. Jason Lady, Auburn Elvis, MVP Kathy Bright, Courtney Holland, Heinz Cook, Matt Passo. I think I got everybody. And now Jarrod and Aaron Head Moss, who just popped in. Now you can ask me that question if you have that question to ask me, Jarrod.
Well, luckily you bought me time because I did completely forget to bring a question today, but you bought me enough time to cook one up, and people in the chat feel free to play along. What is your favorite time jumping around storyline? And you know what? I won't even confine you to comics. You can pick movies. So if you want to say Back to the Future, you can say that. If you want to say The Terminator, you can say that. You know, whatever. Time jumping.
They always make my head hurt. You know? It's like,
yeah, I don't like them either. We're going to find that out on tonight's episode.
Then you got the future past with the present, and then it'd be colliding with the enzymes, and it's like, By the way, I figured out the problem. I see where the output is, and it's probably going to go mute for a second, but I'm going to answer this question. Then when I pass it off to you, hopefully I can fix the problem quickly. I'm trying to think, has Spider-Man been caught up on one? Technically, yes. So, like, my I guess, favorite or most infamous would be the Brand New Day storyline, which technically is still going on, in that they retconned Mary Jane and Spider-Man being married. Like, and then basically, like, right. And now the storyline moving forward ever since then has been, you know, Peter Parker, you know, still being Spider-Man, but him and Mary Jane, for whatever reason, even if they kind of link up and kind of get like cozy a little bit, then they get quickly separated apart. So I agree. Calm down. We already discussed offline. Jarrod needs some juice today. We're good. I didn't say I loved it. It was the first one that popped.
No, I wasn't growling at you. I was growling at the storyline.
I know. I still felt aggressed though. Nevertheless, all right. I'm gonna switch to the Yeti microphone so I can hear more in my ears, and you're gonna provide an answer.
All right. Oh, goodness. I would have thought this through. Oh, there was a TV show that ran for like 5 seasons called Quantum Leap. All right. We are good here. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And you know, Quantum Leap was kind of smart in the way that, because like you said, time travel makes your head hurt. I think what Quantum Leap did well was boundaryize that, you know, leap within his own lifetime.
Yeah.
Very small stories with big impacts, that kind of thing. I think that, you know, instead of trying, like you said, you got to figure out he was here and then he came back. Can he be in the same timeline at the same time? And and of course, Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme. All right, those are the answers.
They did one. Oh, what was that big storyline? Oh my goodness, I've read too many comic books. There's a big storyline, and basically, in order to like complete the loop, like they had to send like Wolverine back into time. And then the present day Wolverine had to come back and kill him. He was like,
"Oh goodness,
yeah." I mean, like, you know, it's like, yeah, you understand, like, you know what I gotta do? It's like, yeah, do what you gotta do, bub. What storyline was that? Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
That's it. it was the Age of Ultron storyline where like Ultron had basically, because the whole thing with Ultron is every time that you face him, he only gets more and more powerful. Well, this time Ultron came back and he just wiped out everybody before the Avengers could even have a chance to defend themselves. They had to do a whole time travel thing in order to basically like fix the whole broken thing and bring the Earth back. And I had to bring up fingers and toes. It was crazy stuff. We got a few more people in the chat. Eric Porter, G.I. Joe, the Real American Power. Oh, I said Aaron Hent Moss already. Somebody, CGI said the time and time again in the Superman books, that was really good. I don't know that storyline. So let me know about it. Jason Lady added, I grew up with Married, so that One More Day storyline was perplexing to me. I grew up when I started collecting Spider-Man. Peter Parker was already married. That was the 340s. Eric Larson was drawing the book. So
I was collecting during the wedding. Like I bought the wedding issue off the rack. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Auburn Elvis, I agree with that. It says the time heist in Endgame was pretty well done. I agree. Avengers Endgame. That'd be a movie, of course. Heinz Cook also adds, Jared says, Delvin, great t-shirt. So I'll take this down and let everyone see that this is Stalker, correct, Jared?
Correct.
Jared would know. He gave me the t-shirt.
I did.
So
I have one too, and so does Jason. Oh shoot! I hope Pat's not watching this.
He said we're all part of a club. It's a club full of very special people. Emphasis on the word.
I want to shout out Aaron Head Moss throughout the one, and if you haven't seen the one with Jet Li, yeah, that was cool.
I am June Lowe. I am nobody's. Beep. Pat Sampson joined us out there.
I can't get away with anything.
Son of a biscuit, you might have to order him a stalker.
I guess I got to order him a stalker.
Oh man. Well, I'm still late on the Christmas gift that I owe Pat. Pat was the last one on that, but he agreed to that. But Jared and Jason have already received theirs. You'll have to ask Jared and Jason what my gift was, and they'll give you a hint as to what yours is, Pat, since we're talking about stuff. I guess we should get started with talking about the book, right? Before we get to talking about 48, I promised folks from last issue or last episode that I would read the other parts of Time and Time Again. I guess I'll give a kind of a warning because I remember that the cover for Time and Time Again Part 2 was Night Thrasher issue 11 was a little controversial. So, you have been forewarned here. So this was the cover to Night Thrasher 11, a part of the Time and Time Again storyline. And so basically what happened in the book was you had the repercussions of the Warriors being interspersed through time. The first story was Night Thrashers. Night Thrasher looked like he has gone back to probably pre-Civil War times for whatever reason. He tries to rescue some slaves that try to get freed and winds up getting captured as a result in a moment of vulnerability. And he is at the end of a hangman's noose at the end of the storyline. And that was to be continued. Let's see. Flipping through as quickly as possible. Silhouette has a storyline. Silhouette's storyline is she goes pretty far back in time herself, and she is confronted by the child version of her grandmother, Tai. So, she went back to Cambodia, where the Dragon's Breath Temple was, very famously known in New Warriors 25. And then there's Chimera. Chimera, she went back and it looked like she was defending a kind of, she's in the water, but defending like a peaceful village against some warlike neighbors. And like she's like, I gotta help these people. So she's kind of defending them. And like they turned out to become more warlike than she wanted them to be. And so that kind of leaves her in a pickle of sorts. And that's mainly it as far as the Warriors. The underlying current was the Sphinx was kind of upset at the male Sphinx was upset at the lady Sphinx. And it's like, I'm going to find a way to steal all of her power. That was Night Thrasher 11. And then that leaves Nova 11. Excuse me, Nova number 6. Here. So as you can imagine, Nova is one of the main stories that they tell first. Nova finds himself in a land, looks like it may be in the future, where everything is destroyed. He was like the Nova of his timeline was had to go off and do some defending in other sectors that wasn't Earth. He comes back and the entire planet seems to be absolute rubble and disarray. So Nova is now pledged. It's like, okay, I've got to get back to my time, and you have to teach me how to use my powers to prevent this from occurring. With me so far? Not at all. All right, I'll keep going. Rage looks like he kind of goes back to a similar time where Night Thrasher did, and like he lashes out because he's Rage to defend them, and like he gets confronted with basically the owners of the slaves saying that, well, their family gave them to us. So Rage is kind of like left in this moral quandary of sorts. Wouldn't be a moral quandary, maybe. He's 13 years old. But then in the last one would be Firestar, and Firestar goes way back to 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts, where she is basically seen as a witch because of her powers. But burning someone who can control microwave powers at the stake obviously was not going to go well. She frees herself, and it turns out that like there is a witch, a real life witch that she finds, and like that witch seems to be okay with other witches passing away or being killed because it helps increase her powers. So that's where it leaves her. And then the last thing,
like Jet Li's movie, The One.
Almost, yeah. And then the last part of it was essentially Hindsight Lad saying, hey, we need to form a new team of warriors. And that leads us to New Warriors issue 48. Let's see. Courtney asked me, where did I find these books? Gal, I had these books for a while. I don't know. Like I just went looking in my chest of drawers of comic books, and I found them. They were alongside the Time and Time Again storyline. So yeah. And Jason Lady adds, I never read the Thrash and Nova chapters of the story, so it's cool to hear what the other Warriors got up to in the past. Well, thanks, man. I'm glad that that very quick synopsis at least helped out somebody. Courtney chimed in, says, I love the history lesson we're getting. So yeah, I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, that's it. And with that out of the way, come out to play as a chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. The first volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues. We will cover all of this first volume as I rediscover my love for this series, help others find theirs, and share love and joy with the listening audience. Grab your skateboards and bucket helmets. It is time to play. One more thing I probably should do, right? It's worth reading the credits for those books. Night Thrasher 11. Got to take off the glasses for this. Never Grow Old, people. Fabian Nicieza wrote it. David Bowler, Elman Brown, and Frank Turner were pencilers. Bruce Patterson, Jim Amash, Frank Turner were inkers. That way, one more. Elman Brown were inkers of the book. And then for Nova, Fabian Nicieza was the writer. Chris Marinan, David Bowler, and Robert Walker were pencilers. Mark Stegbauer and Larry Malstead were the inkers. There you have it, folks. And Jared's going to talk about the cover now.
Am I now? All right. I will. All All right, let's talk about the cover, which if you're doing this on the visual version on YouTube, I have dead center on the screen. It's been up there since we've been chatting. We've got us a justice-centric cover. They're still doing the somewhat trading card style with like a heavy background of the triangular symbol that they've associated with New Warriors now for several issues. Of course, it says time and time again across the top. It's got a little hourglass. And okay, so yeah, basically you've got Justice being all justified, leaping, angry, pink force field around him as he's leaping to the foreground against two people, who I wasn't sure who they were until I got into the book, but apparently it is his father and his grandfather as they were in the 1960s.
Yes, sir.
And I will have thoughts on that as we get to the story, but that is pretty much your cover.
Okay. I don't think we said hello to Linkovich, by the way. Linkovich, hello, gave the hint or the help to Courtney. Says, I got most of my Night Thrashers and 90s Novas in the dollar bins. I would imagine they're not super expensive in that. Neither the book caught on, I think neither of them lasted about around 2-year point. And then Jim Meal, welcome Jim, says, I found all the New Warriors, Night Thrasher, and Nova in the dollar bins. So there you go. And Jason Lady says, Delvin is like Stephen Ambrose. I don't know who that is. Is that a narrator?
I got it. Yeah, he does documentary films. Yeah.
Okay, I can at least gather context clues.
Yeah, you're close. You're close. He's a documentary filmmaker.
Okay. All right, good. I like this cover. I mean, there's no surprise in this because it's Derek Robertson, and Derek Robertson knows what he's doing with the New Warriors. I like the pink field. I like that the pink field spills into the logo. I always like that. When they do that, they just shows extra thought and consideration. And upon first thought, without having read the book, you would think that maybe he was teleported back in time to maybe stop his dad from beating him as a kid. That's what I thought originally. And sure enough, it turned out to be his father and grandfather. And it's like, oh, okay. I definitely like just the action pose of Justice. He just looks, angry and with it. I love the new costume. It's on full display and it looks good. And they still got the trade dress of the Warriors triangles all over as well. And as well as, the time and time again logo. So there is that. Just curious if anyone saw the tweet that I wrote. I'm the one that writes the tweets and sends them out. That's literally the only reason I have my Twitter X account.
Wait. He sends out the tweets for this show. Okay, don't wrap me up in your shenanigans.
I was just wondering, did anyone necessarily understand the tweet that I sent out about New Warriors 48? If not, I will explain. That's all it was. Jim Meal says, is that a G.I. Joe t-shirt I see? And I knew you were a fan. I'll explain one more time. It was a gift. It was a gift from Jarrod. I'm a fan of receiving gifts and wearing t-shirts. People give them to me. I will wear almost any t-shirt if you give it to me. I found that out in college. They're like, do you want a credit card? I'm like, no. It's like, we'll give you a t-shirt. It's like, okay. That's how I wound up with my first credit card. Let's see. Who else? Let's see. No, well, you talked about the cover, right, Jarrod?
I did. I didn't. We haven't scored it, but yeah.
Okay, we're about to. A couple other things. Eric Porter helpfully mentions a new omnibus will come out in June covering Night Thrasher Nova series. Interesting. I guess they are at least sensing that there's some demand for the New Warriors that they're going to come up with. They're going to give it the omnibus treatment. That kind of says that they think that the New Warriors will sell. So that's cool. Matt Passo says, love the Justice cover. We've got a couple of ratings very quickly. Just so you know, we rate the cover on a scale of 1 to 10 nightsticks if you listen to our live stream on Sunday, we did a New Warriors. What do they call it?
Role-playing game, RPG.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
live
RPG, role-playing game. That was a lot of fun. I was very happy with some of the choices that I made as the leader of the team, Night Thrasher. But 1 to 10 is what we rate the cover. Jarrod, what would you rate it?
Over on G.I. Joe Chronicles, which clearly you're a fan of, we often say a score can be heavily related to how much you like the character on the cover. And I think we're very much the case here because this is a Justice cover. And like you said, his new outfit is looking good. This is a really good pose. It's got good energy to it. I'm not the biggest Justice guy, but I'm not anti-Justice guy either. So Malstead and Derek did good on this one. I'm happy at a 7 for this. Yeah. If it had been the same sort of aggression level pose with like Night Thrasher, who I like his design better, it would be higher. Or some of the other characters. I don't dislike Justice, but 7.
Okay. And I'm at an 8. I like it. Like, I could be convinced to give it a 9. Like, it's one of those, like, we're 2 issues away from saying goodbye to Derek Robertson, which is going to make me sad because they they just flat out tell you in the letters page in this book that Richard Pace, who drew the first couple of pages, will be the New Warriors penciler as of issue 51. That part stuck. There's another thing that they mentioned, that there's going to be a speedball free-for-all, like, that's going to like really blow up his origin in issue 54. That didn't happen. And I want to go to Fabian now. It's like, man, do you remember what happened? Why didn't that happen? I'm just so curious now. Like, and he'd probably be like, who are you? You did my show. It's like nobody watched it. I was like, shut up.
It'll be
all right.
I'm going to tell tales out of school. It'll be like that time. I think you were with me. We ran into Mark Way. This was before I was a creator. We were just going to cons for fun. And we asked him to sign like one of our books. And like, you would have thought he would like lit a cigarette and got this faraway look. And he just went on this rant about some issue of Captain America. And he was angry about it. And I didn't have a clue why. I was like, I want to just sign my comic book.
I remember that. Like that. Oh, I'm not gonna remember.
I mean, he didn't get, to the people listening, he didn't get mad at me, but like he clearly went into some dark place.
I know why he did, because basically he had wrote the book a certain way, and then the editors, without telling him, changed parts of the book, and he was like, "The hell you say? Like, take my name off the book." And so, like, the cover credits in the book, Mark Wade's name is not in it. He was not happy about it.
He still signed it for me,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you didn't.
But like the lights dimmed and he lit a cigarette and he was like...
All right. Courtney says the cover is a 5. I believe that she thought that it's out of 5 out of 5. So I think that
she bumped it up later to an
yep.
I found it.
Okay, cool. Oh, bumped up to a 9. Even better. Thank you for that, Jarrod. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Aaron did the same thing, but gave it a 5. So he really liked the cover too. I'm assuming again 5 out of 5. Excuse me.
He came back again.
Nope. Nope. He gave it a 10. I saw a decimal point. We're just ignoring that. Jason Lady says cover is definitely eye-catching. Justice looks fierce. You're wondering what's going on. I give it an 8. Matt Passo says the cover is definitely a 9 in my book. And let's see. Auburn Elvis is on the low end of the totem pole here. Says it's a fierce cover, but just having one new warrior and then having him attack 2 civilians isn't working for me. I give it a 6. And I think that's it. While I look at the script, do you think I haven't done this once a month now for 4 years, Jarrod? 4 years. Good grief. All right. Yeah, it's Jarrod's turn. He's going to read the credits for the issue.
Oh, I suppose I will. Let me just switch the banner. There we go. All right. We are going to talk about New Warriors number 48. Its on sale date was April 26th of 1994. It's cover dated June of 94. Its cover price is $1.25. The story is Fabian Nicieza. The pencilers are Richard Pace, John Chop and Derek Robertson. Inks are Larry Malstead, Timothy Zahn, and John Stokes. The colors are Joe Rosas. The letters are Chris Iliopoulos, and the editor is Rob Tokar. Not to be confused with Rob Rosar. Can't not do a Turtles joke every time we get there. Thanks to Amazing Mike World. Put those words in the proper order. We appreciate it.
I made one mistake. The cover has raised. The cover price has raised. It is now $1.50.
Oh man, this is a BS. So that means the last issue probably said still only $1.25.
Probably.
They always do that.
Yes, like, oh man, I love that. I'm so happy I only have to pay $1.25 next month. Beep.
You know they're about to raise prices when you get that big blurb that says still only. Oh,
it's
going up.
At this point, they don't even tell you. They just raise the price now.
They take it directly out of your bank account when you're sleeping.
Like you wake up in the middle of the night and you see somebody in like classic robber uniform. Like it's like, this isn't how bank accounts work. What are you doing?
Give me the money, yeah.
This is a high C. The title of this book is The More Things Change, which is a part of the Time and Time Again storyline. This is part 4. We are in the middle of the Time and Time Again storyline. And since the old New Warriors are literally out of time, thanks to the Sphinx, that be the male Sphinx, maybe it's time for some new Warriors. We're about to talk about the book. Jarrod brings up stuff from the book. He's giving a deep inhale and exhale. I'm giving me talking about Full Killer vibes from Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. But here we go.
All right. There are fair warning. There are some things I very much like about this book. And there's some controversial topics we'll talk about later. Let's go to my first screenshot, which is the double page spread. Don't I have to get real thin at this point? It's the double page spread that is almost always the page 2 and 3 of a New Warriors, which, by the way, I like that. I like that little bit of continuity that I don't know that they've ever not done it in an issue. I feel like they did it like the first few and were just like, this is our thing now. We're always going to. It almost makes it feel like the beginning of a James Bond movie where you get a sliver and you get a splash of the title sequence and you get to the story. Like, in a weird way, it makes me think that. So anyway, this was an easy one to pick too, because this is going to highlight my favorite part of this story is, first of all, Fabian did a pretty good job of bringing me in because I wasn't on last episode either. That was, I think Matt sat in for me last episode. If so, thanks, Matt. And if I got that wrong, then whoever.
Yeah, it's Matt Paso.
All right. So I'm really jumping in now because did I do my homework? No, I didn't. I did not read the last one. I was like, I'll read it if I jump in here and I don't get it. But I got it. So kudos to him to Fabian for getting me up to speed relatively quickly. And there's just a lot to like here. I really was excited to see the new roster. I was like, oh, they're having to recruit a new team. I love the fact that Hindsight Lad has sort of stepped up, even though, he's kind of this joke of a loser character. But I love it in storytelling when you have a quote unquote joke or a loser character who realizes that this is his moment. I need to do something, and he's doing something good. Like he's doing a good job for a guy who's he's Hindsight Lad, right? So I like that. And of course I was excited to see that roster. I mentioned before, and you did a great job of not tipping the cards. I was like, man, Cloak and Dagger, I love them in this book, but there's no way they're coming back. Well, guess what? Here they are. There's Dark Hawk, right? Yes. There's I'm always getting it wrong. Turbo. Okay.
Yeah.
I always say Torpedo, don't I?
Torpedo, yeah.
But that's where the character came from. And then there's like some Power Pack.
Yes.
It's just this layout got me excited about the book. So I'll stop on there and let you talk on this page.
Yeah, they use this opportunity to get a little bit of comic relief in. Sure enough, like I didn't read the whole letters page, but I glanced over it. Man, there's something happening behind the scenes. I don't know if Fabian Ezies will ever say it, but there's something that happened behind the scenes. Like not yet, but like somebody was making a comment and mentioned they said that like the book needs a more lighter tone because he feels they felt that his very angsty.
Concur.
And the only time that you get lighter tone is Speedball giving like his one-liners. And I don't know, I can't remember what they said about it, but that was something that somebody wrote in and talked about. And that's what this was. This was a little bit of like it was exposition that it let you know what was going on, and that Carlton said, hey, we're gonna have to come up with a team of new warriors. And they're like, yeah, he talked for like about an hour straight about it. And then both of them were like, you ain't got no powers, bro. How are you gonna get these superheroes even in place?
I felt bad about that too, because they were like, you ain't got no powers, bro. And like, I don't remember if he said this too or not, but or if I was just thinking, I was like, but he's doing something.
He is doing something. Like there's no doubt about it. And it's like, I do like he's doing something, and yet his sense of self-worth was still overinflated. So it's kind of funny because he's like, the Sphinx made a mistake underestimating me. And it's like, did he?
I get that too, but I genuinely did feel a little bad for him. Like, especially like, I think Sprockets was treating him rather poorly, but I was like, damn, like the military dude in me was like, hey, a good plan today is better than the perfect plan tomorrow. At least he's moving out. He's doing something. Y'all are sitting around smoking and making fun of him. What have you done today?
And that's fair. Welcome to Scott O'Neill, by the way. He came into the chat and says, I love the lower right central panel where Carlton fixes the mirror. It shows that to him. He thinks those side mirrors are legit practical to his role.
Yes. And Delvin, you mentioned this too with the letters column. This was much needed levity. This is Fabian at his best to me. This is good levity. It's catching me up on the story, and it's letting me learn more about the characters of Hindsight Lad. Is it Sprocket or Sprockets plural? I can't remember.
Sprocket, just
Sprocket,
singular.
and of course,
Cord,
the other guy. Thank you.
Hindsight Lad. Yeah.
Like, these are characters that don't get a lot of time, so he's making the most. Like, he's getting miles out of this time. He's getting miles out of it, and I really appreciate that.
Gotcha. Let's keep it moving.
Let's do exactly that. And then they introduce this guy who probably got introduced in the last issue that I missed or something. Or I think he came from Night Thrasher. No more, I think.
He came from Night Thrasher.
Yes, I have this vague recollection of that. Okay, and then this guy whose name I honestly can't remember because it is generic Air Force, if you will.
Bandit.
I did not like that name. I was like, that is so generic. Like, he's got this tough, cool look. He kind of looks like Ice-T. If you've ever seen the movie Surviving the Game, he kind of looks like Ice-T Surviving the Game. And he's got a cool look, and I love I'm going to get detail here for a second. For those of you watching, for those of you at home, you got a really, really good, this got to be a Malstead page or a Robertson, Derek and Malstead page. You got a really good headshot of him, and look at the detail in the sunglasses with the reflecting computer screens. That is great. It looks really good. And I'm like, who is this guy? He's got a freaking crossbow on his arm. His name is Bandit. I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know about the name Bandit, but then they were like, okay, this is Night Thrasher's half brother. And I was like, okay, of course he is. And I'm in love with Silhouette. Yeah, all right. I got it. Sure. Why not? But so I'm like, okay, this is part of the angst. This part of the angst doesn't necessarily bother me. I like the fact that there's a lot to talk about in this issue because this is the first I've seen of this guy. That they're adding layers to Night Thrasher, right? So we have a new character. We have this half brother, which is leading to sort of a love triangle thing. Yep. And like, he's the bad boy, clearly, right? Yep. But he's the bad boy that can possibly lead the new team that's needed to save the old team. So good layers here.
Somebody needs to help me out. I think this is Richard Pace. I don't know who was inking him. And I'll just go ahead and add it here. Isn't it the editor's job to determine the creative teams of a book, Jarrod?
A lot of the time, yeah. The editors really should be called sort of like the creative director. Yeah, but yeah, they'll oftentimes pick the teams. Yeah.
The thing that hasn't taken me out of the storyline. Like, I'm intrigued, and since it's an 8-parter, they had enough room to build up. But like, between the Nova issue, the Night Thrasher issue, and then this issue of the New Warriors, way too many artists and inkers. Like you want to, I mean, because this is a buildup going to issue 50. And like you remember, or maybe you don't, but like in issue 24, where Mark Bagley was still on the book, and then he drew all of issue 25 before he finally said his farewell to the book as a penciler. Issue 24 was drawn by Chris Marinan. And that was the first time that anyone had taken a, I'm okay with that. Like, it's like, no, it's not Mark Bagley. Yes, I understand that the reason Mark Bagley isn't on the book is because he has to draw a double-sized issue. So he needed more time. Completely get that. I would have been okay with one penciler throughout the entire book. Or maybe on a storyline, the storyline that came before this, like Child's Play or something, give it to another penciler and let that person do it, like Richard Pace, for instance. Let Richard Pace have done those 2 issues, and then let this whole time and time again storyline from the New Warriors perspective being drawn by Derek Robertson. Like, I missed his pencils. Like, to me, they were just sorely missed in this book to me.
I could see that too. It did have that sort of mini hands feel to it. And I was wondering in the back of my mind is like, are we going to get a nice 50 send off for Derek where he does the whole book? And if so, I see the sacrifice. But like you, I would have rather taken those teams and given like one of those teams to the Night Thrasher book and one of those teams to the
Nova.
Thank you. Nova book. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I'd rather have consistency. Even if it's not my favorite artist, I'd rather have like you. I think it is a little bit mismatched, but not terribly so, because I just confused this page, which apparently is a base page, with. And when I look at the smaller panels, there's where I see the difference. It's that drawing of Bandit that I was like, that's good. It's really good.
Yeah. We can talk more about Richard Pace in a couple of months. I'll spoil it and say I was not a fan of his. I was not a fan of his then, and maybe that might change. But like, if you look at the detail from page 1 again at Hindsight Lad, he can do a page like that, and you're like, man, you could tell he took time on that. But those little small pages are the panels are the ones where it's just like,
yeah, you can see it here on our example. You can see that they're
it's like
a lot.
It took you 30. Yeah, a lot faster. And it's like, did he spend so much time with the detail on the bigger pictures or splash pages that he just didn't think that the smaller panels were necessary? To me, a lot of times the smaller panels is where the work's done. Anyway,
maybe he just works at a different speed, or
Scott says by this time they knew Robertson was leaving, and if you really care, they were using this crossover as sort of a tryout to replace him.
Different tempo, maybe. It'll come to me.
Pace.
Thank you.
There.
Okay.
Pace is the word.
You knew I wasn't going to stop until you.
I got it. Next panel, please, sir.
All right. This is where then they give a quick backstory. They give a quick backstory on the Sphinx, right? And there's pages of this. There's like pages of this, like how the female Sphinx got the power from the male Sphinx and how the male Sphinx took the power back from the female Sphinx. And for like 4 pages, I was like, I don't care. I don't care one bit about this. Like, I don't know. Are there Sphinx fans out there that wanted this? Like, was it a mystery? Like, I was like, I could have done with, I probably like one page like this one that said, hey,
let me help you out.
Let me
help you out a little bit. Excuse me. Very quickly, just since we talked a little bit about the art direction, Scott continued and said, the lighter workload on a positive gave him time to do the best work he did on his whole run. His speedball stories in 47 through 50 were absurdly good. He's talking about Derek Robertson. And then he says in issue 50 is Derek in all of his glory. And so Auburn Elvis then says, why does this lady stay with this jerk?
Right.
So last issue, the start of the storyline, the male Sphinx, going way back to that first storyline when they went back in time, and if you remember, the whole idea of it was that the Lady Sphinx wanted to basically recreate the entire universe to get this man to love her.
Right, got it.
And it fell apart. So keep that in mind. So male Sphinx sort of like, he at least gets resurrected, comes back, and he's power hungry. And the first thing he's like, this lady stole all of my powers from me. He doesn't remember really anything about the past. And so sure enough, what he does, but he remembers that this lady has his powers. And so he lures her to this place and says, hey, yep, I love you, girl, and I want you to be my boo. And she's like, oh, I love you too. And like, she walks through the door and he immediately saps half of her powers. And he saps half of her powers and then says, I already know who's going to be the biggest thorn in my side if I get all the powers. So I'm going to use the powers that I have now to disperse the warriors throughout time so that they're not a bother to me. Issue 48 comes, and so he's still doing in either the Nova or Night Thrasher book, Lady Sphinx kind of got on TV, said a few things about the male Sphinx, and the male Sphinx was like, okay, like, I'm going to lure her again. So he went to Egypt, and then she explains to him all of the past that he didn't know, which were those pages. And then he's like, well, I didn't know that. Maybe we can have a chance at love. Psych! And then takes all of her powers. So it was sort of necessary, is what I'm saying. Like, in that they explained a little bit about what happened months ago, years ago in the Warriors, then explained a little bit about the history and that Sphinx didn't know it, which led to this moment on the page.
I just felt like it was too much. I just felt like he could have come back and taken his powers back. And I didn't need all that. All I know, in the end, she has a much better costume design than he does. That's what I know in the end. Her costume is way more baller than his is.
I got nothing else.
Yeah. Check your text because I wrote you something really funny.
Oh, I did. I saw it pop up on my screen since I got the Mac and used a professional effort to keep going.
Well, you did good.
Scott O'Neill says, add superpowers and reincarnation to the litigants on the People's Court, and they will look a lot like the Sphinx dysfunctional relationship. I mean, it's true. It's some Egyptian Jerry Springer stuff.
It makes me sad, though. I like the female version better.
The juxtaposition that Fabian keeps playing with, because they did it in issue 47, they did it again here, is the male Sphinx's thing is the love of power, and the female Sphinx's thing is the power of love. So, like, they keep, they use that juxtaposition in both issues. So I'm gonna think that they're gonna do the same thing in 49.
All right. Again, I just not as interested, but that's all right. If people like the Sphinx storyline that's going on under it, that's fine with me. I'm not mad at you. All right. And here we go with some more angst, and it's always anchored to justice. Why does every time Justice show up this book, it have to be depressing as all get out? And also, I'm just like, oh, can Justice not have a good day? Can he not? Is that not allowed? It's like, God dang, Fabian. This is Fabian beats his kid like a pinata, man. Just like every chance we get.
Maybe that was a poor choice of words.
Oh, yeah. Well, metaphorically, there's no candy involved. It wasn't great. But anyways, it was like, okay, I saw he was on the cover. I figured he'd be featured. I even picked up on the fact that like different people were going to be featured in different parts of it, which you recapped at the beginning from different books and all that. And I was like, okay, man. And I was like, all right, let's see what's going on. Oh, good gravy, give this guy a day off. You know, and I've had this bit of a complaint with Fabian for few episodes now, pretty much so ever since we went to Transabal. There's been a lot more heavier storylines. And I don't necessarily mind a heavier storyline, but let me breathe out one for a while before you hit me with the next one. It really feels like, in retrospect, and I guess this will be my controversial take, it really feels like I really enjoyed the New Warriors. Transabal was the first one where I went, okay, I feel like Fabian's putting in his 2 cents on the war in Iraq here, right? This is his social commentary. And I just feel like he needed to make the New Warriors a success for Marvel, which he did, right? Like I said, that first run was a lot of fun. It was really good. And then I just feel like he got that success and they gave him more room to breathe. And he just wanted to put a lot more social commentary in his books. Not against that necessarily, but man, he does it a lot. I mean, case in point, I didn't know about the controversial cover that you shared, Night Thrasher. Case in point, he did it in at least 2 of these. And it's heavy. And with a book like this, with these young people and these new powers, I just so much more enjoy the lightness, hence the hindsight lad stuff we talked about at the beginning. Then it's just a lot of heaviness. I mean, we went through the Transabal thing, right? We did the prison reform issue, which also justice. We did the trial and the death of his father, the justice. And we went through the mass of mobs protesting at his house and terrorizing his mother. Justice. It's like, goodness, give him a day off, or give me, the reader, a day off. It's just like, I feel like this story would have had more weight. I mean, I see what he's doing here, and it's interesting, but I just feel like it would have had more weight if it wasn't happening so often. And that's Jarrod's big take for this episode.
You're on mute, Jarrod.
That is hilarious.
At least I can get you to laugh. All right.
No, I'm not mad about it.
I know you're not. I didn't think that the take was mad. And in fact, it was a very informed take as far as the beats that Justice has gone through in the book. As soon as you mentioned that, it was like, you're right. Justice, Marvel Boy / Justice has been through some heavy stuff. And it definitely didn't get any lighter, finding out that looks like his teenage dad, may have been gay. So it's like, so the credit I will give Justice is he's like, even if it means wiping myself out, I would rather my dad be his authentic self rather than being somebody who grew up bitter and just wound up repeating a very bad cycle. I'll give him
absolutely. Yeah. I want to jump in on that because it was about breaking the cycle of violence, which again, I want to make clear to the listeners. I don't mind that. That's a good story to tell. And what a heroic thing to do. That's very Scott Bakula Quantum Leap to be like, I would rather my dad find happiness than me to ever exist. I like that.
Yeah. Particularly given that his dad beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, and, we get a backstory to that now. It's cycle of violence. It's not being who he wanted to be, but who he felt like his father forced him to be, or society, or whatever. But yeah, I get it. Just give my boy a day off.
Yeah, man, I absolutely agree with that take. That is a lot of heaviness, and some people, that much heaviness could literally break them. I mean, for sure, it takes a strong person to go through something like that. Eric Porter, just to your take, says, great point about Fabian's run. Personally, I think 1 through 26 are must reads, and it falls off a bit, picks up again around 36 through 42. We'll get into that. We have less New Warriors story than we have. We've covered 4 years of it. And it's a 6-year run, 6-year plus. So
if we were in college, we'd be graduating New Warriors University.
Yeah, we're like assuming that we didn't, jerk around and graduated. Right. So we will be ready to go into that master's degree. Magazines and Monsters joins us. Hello, Magazines and Monsters. Thank you for coming, man. Whoops. Let's see. Jim Mill asked a question just about when did Justice have his series. He didn't have a full run like Nova and Night Thrasher did. He had a 4-issue run. So I'm not going to remember what happened in that run. I don't know if I picked it up or not, because maybe Justice wasn't my favorite warrior at the time. But I'm also sure that if I went and found it somewhere, I'd probably pick it up at this point, just to at least read it and just,
I'd read it.
Yeah, just to digest it.
Dim the lights, light a cigarette. Here we go.
But point absolutely taken, Jarrod, for sure. Like with zero pushback from me at all. You're right. He has gone through some heaviness for sure.
Yeah, let somebody else have some. or heck, let's all have a good time for a little while. Because these guys are so much fun when they are having a good time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I know they can't all be like that. But I mean, if I'm being honest, let's talk about, no, it's not talk about because it'll do worse, but like Kraven's Last Hunt, incredibly good storyline. Dark.
Yeah.
But I only need one of those about every 20 years. I'm good on that.
No, I got you. Yeah, it doesn't get much. Yeah, it doesn't get much more darker than somebody being buried alive, and then the bad guy wound up, head
self-removal, right? Gotcha.
Yeah. Scott adds. I always love the context. Everyone adds, but Scott adds some very good Warriors context. He says it's worth the read. Justice. It ties up a lot of the emotional baggage and gives Vance a new starting point purpose from his initial hero worship role. So sounds like our boy. He's grown up and he's grown up and he's grown up.
That is interesting because when we first meet him, he's trying his best to impress Captain America, and then I think we're definitely moving into his own hero, where he's like, of course everybody wants to impress Captain America, but it's not the thing anymore.
Yeah,
I dig that. All right, thanks for indulging me in that, all friends and listeners and people in the chat. All right, there's a lot of weirdness going on with Speedball and a lot of creative art telling that tale. That's what I got on the next page.
And I believe this is Derek Robertson's drawing.
Wouldn't surprise me. Not a one bit. Yeah. It's cool and it's creative and it's unique. And then, I was like, what's going on? Now, is this the thing you were talking about that we'll never quite get the answer to? Or is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was like, what's going on? Like he's basically stuck in a energy loop or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was an interesting choice by Fabian. See, Scott goes, yep. They were, because they even mentioned it in the letter section that they were going to give a payoff to this storyline in issue 54, and they did not. Something changed, and I'm like, what? Why? Like, I might have to reach out to Fabian and just ask him that question. Maybe I get an answer, maybe I don't. I would love to know. I really, really would.
I would think that enough water has passed under that bridge where he might open up about it, but you can never tell.
Yeah, never tell.
All right, 2 pages left. All right, this is near the end of the book, second to last page, I do believe. And why did I pick it? Oh, I think I picked it just because it is the new team gathered. And it was just cool. It made me very happy to see. This is a neat shake up to the book. This is like, it was reminiscent to me of another book from the 90s. If you remember, there was a time when the Fantastic Four was like Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and the Hulk.
Yes.
Because they just needed the FF was gone and they needed. Yeah. I love that sort of, they're gone and we need a group, and it really lets you spotlight characters. And admittedly, I'm a big homer for especially the Rick Leonardi era of Cloak and Dagger. And I have definitely learned to appreciate Dark Hawk. Thanks to Delvin. I think you might have done a Crusade Miss or something, but like you've always been the Dark Hawk guy.
Yes.
And I've almost finished my full run. Shout out to Jim Meal. He was a big help on that. And what a surprisingly, I don't know, surprisingly, I don't want to degrade it, but like, I guess surprisingly good, solid book from the 90s. People old 90s books and 90s books. I'm like, yeah, it was good.
Well, sometimes what I'll do when I read these older books is I'll look at like the Marvel Bullpens page, and I'll see some of the books, the newer books that they're advertising. Like there's a character called Black Wolf. Who? Like,
I was reading comics during this era, and I couldn't pin that one down. This is like during the era where they're like chasing Image, I think, because it's like Black Wolf, and there's a dude named Night Watch who was a lot like Spawn, and like
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember Night Watch, but like he went on the night shift, if you get what I'm saying. And like so, like there's that, but Darkhawk still around today, so like good enough of a character that he still appears in present Marvel Day comic books. So, hey, I'd say that when they created Darkhawk, they did a good job of it. Let's see. A few comments. Matt Passo just says the new Fantastic Four was such a wild, fun team. Any Danny Ketch Ghost Rider is always a positive.
Yes.
Let's see. I was gonna Scott added when I was asking about the book. In the direction, he said the writer change happened, and either the editor or Evan Skolnick, the new writer, didn't want to go with the original story. I get that, but those first 4 words, Scott, that's the thing. The writer change happened. Why? As of issue 48, they had a direction that in issue 54, this thing was going to happen with Speedball, and then it didn't because there was a writer change. Why? Why was there a writer change? That's the question that I want the answer to. Got to do some investigative journaling.
The people are tired of seeing Justice get pooped on, just rose up.
Oh, man. But Scott did add 14-year-old me got the original planned plot directly from Derek at the Philly Comic-Con a million years ago. Others have confirmed it from other sources in the years since as well. I just want to know why. Because I remember like the last issue that Fabian was on, like he wrote something in the letters page, and it was something. They gave him his piece to say something, but he was like, yeah, I'm leaving the book. Things have kind of changed. Bye. It's like, huh? Because we were probably
I'm very interested to see the tone of the book after he leaves. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions. I think it will.
That is fair. That is fair. Man, there's so much I could talk about that, but we are running kind of long. But it's been good discussion. Linkovich says, I'm surprised they haven't put out a Darkhawk omnibus. I am too, actually. A 50-issue run of Darkhawk. The original series ran 50. That would be good. I saw somebody bragging. Oh, Linkovich says, I have a full run of Darkhawk 1 through 50 plus the 4 annuals. You ain't the only one, son. I mean, let's go. Let's go. You show me your Darkhawk, and I'll show you.
Easy. Everybody calm down.
Sorry, yeah.
I am, away. By the way, just for fun facts out there, everybody, I'm only missing 1, 48, 49, and 50. Once I get those, I'm done. And I will get them hardbound.
50 was rare. It was kind of like they didn't put a lot of it, so that actually is worth a little bit of money.
Right. It's like those late issues of G.I. Joe where the print runs got small, but people still want to get a full run. So yeah, another shout out to Jim Meal for filling in a lot of the gaps there for me.
Yep. Let's go to that last page.
Let's do that. Last page is the last page. I just picked it because it's the cliffhanger. It's like, hey, we got one more person joining the group, and I believe we have Sphinx. I believe we have the Sphinx in her sexy new outfit. I think that's who that is. And she's actually going to join, which, as you mentioned before, like I still don't care much about the backstory, but I guess by having her join and maybe have some kind of a future with the New Warriors makes that slightly more interesting. And I guess they just went and watched the first run of the Flash Gordon serial before the code stepped in, because they were like, we're going to give her like one of the sexiest costumes ever and no further questions. And I am not debating that decision.
I can definitely see Princess Aura wearing that.
Yes, 100%.
For certain. Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, one of the pages you didn't mention, when Sphinx took her powers, then Sphinx warped her away and kind of said something. It's worth mentioning because it's like, why is she there? Right? He warps her away and says, you have an even more ironically delightful role still to play in this game, woman. And like teleports her away. Why? Why did he do that? And surely that's to be revealed later, you know? So, like, I'm interested in knowing why he did what he did. Like, maybe he had some feelings for her too, because he could have killed her. He could have killed her instead, because he has all the power. She has none, and he didn't.
Which makes me wonder what she's going to bring to the team now, other than
other than aura. How about
right that? To the aura.
Yeah. So I'm very interested in figuring that out. Time and time again, part 4 is done. We're halfway through the storyline. We'll get part 7 next month, and we'll get part 8 in issue 50. Any idea how this is going to end? Like, or where it's going even?
Not really. To me, the most interesting question through all this, I mean, I definitely have the feeling that the team's going to get back together, but there might be some member shakeup, because it would be neat if they were able to keep a couple of these people on the team. I honestly don't know. I know that we've mentioned before about how Dark Hawk does dabble in and out a little bit. So I'll be interested to see if maybe he sticks a little, or if, I'd love if it was Cloak and Dagger, but I feel like they keep using them elsewhere, but we'll see. That's my most interesting thing, is like, once this is resolved, and I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but what's the long-term effect on the team? Will there be a member change, additions, swaps, whatever? That to me is the most interesting thing. Like, because I really like this cast of characters that they've assembled.
Scott, don't answer that question. If you're typing something up, don't answer it, please.
Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I actually don't have the chat up on screen, so
okay,
I'll be okay. But I'm going to probably switch to it shortly. So let me know if I shouldn't.
No, nothing so far. I'll add the last comment that Scott made. Said Richard Pace even today loves to draw cheesecake.
Well, he's good at it.
Published a whole book of drawings of sexy witches.
That is ridiculous, and I'm going to Amazon right now to protest.
That is ridiculous. Where is it? Where I want to see it for research
purposes. Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're running a little bit long, Jarrod, go ahead and do your part. Please, sir.
I almost forgot about things that I do. I will switch the banner too. I'm just good like that. All right. It is time for us to talk about the Ultimate Warrior and the Ultimate Worrier. Who do you think acquitted themselves best in the book as a warrior? And who are you most concerned about as a worrier? There's a fair amount of things to pick from, Delvin.
I will do the public who listens to this 6 months later service by saying Richard Pace's Instagram has most of those drawings. So you look up Richard Pace, you will probably find some drawings of some sexy witches. Let's go. Let's say hindsight, lad. You sold me on that. Like I agree that he did something. He did.
Didn't sit on his hands, did he?
No, he literally could have just gone home. Like, Sphinx wasn't looking, for some high school nerd named Carlton. He couldn't have cared less about that kid. So, because of his hard work, there is a team of new warriors that are available to go after the Sphinx now. So without Carlton, maybe the warriors would have been stranded in time forever, like, assuming that they come back, because at this point, we don't know how they get back. What do you think?
I wholeheartedly agree. My warrior is going to be hindsight lad. He might have an overplayed sense of his self-importance, but in that moment, that was needed. because he needed to feel important and he needed to do something. And he brought together a good team too, a team of characters that I very much like. So yeah, hindsight lad, way to go, man. Way to step up. Now, who are we worried about, Delvin?
I also want to point out it was very nice. If you notice, have you read all of the Darkhawk books that you've gotten?
I have not. No, I read the one you brought, the Crusade Miss, and maybe one or two here and there, enough to know that I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this run.
If you notice, the picture at the start of the book was old Darkhawk armor. Darkhawk here is in new armor.
I knew this was a different look for him. To me, anyway.
Yes, it was a different look at the time. So that's just something to kind of keep an eye out for. Let's see. I'm letting them scroll past, but not too far. Let's see. Scott says Ultimate Warrior Lady Sphinx is bikini wax practitioner.
Here.
Matt Paso says Warrior, I give it to Hindsight Lad for the second month in a row. Jason Lady says Warrior Justice, very selfless thing he tried to do. And I will not mention the Warriors yet. Oh, who am I worried about?
If I may jump in.
Yeah.
Speedball? I mean, at least everybody has some direction. He's like directionless.
He often is. But yes, he is discovering some things about himself. He feels like he's trapped in a universe literally of his own making. And so the thing that pleases me about this is, like, you know, this being 30 years ago, right? I don't remember how this concludes. I do remember how it concludes, but I don't remember the ins and outs. Like, I forgot the whole part about Justice's father as a teenager, possibly, you know, at least having an affinity for other guys. I won't say that he's completely gay, just that he was sort of trying to figure things out. So I didn't remember that part of it. So that was interesting. Like, I'm just worried about the team in general. I don't know how they come back. All of them seem to just be stranded in time, and like they are starting to build, but I don't know how they get back. And so maybe in parts 5 and 6, which I'll talk about just like I did parts 2 and 3, that we get a little bit of clarity as to what's going on. Let's see. I should have started them and I didn't. Let me scroll back up for the Warriors. Matt Paso says he's worried about Speedball. Says, where is he? And let's see. Scott O'Neill says Ultimate Warrior Vance because it's never a bad answer.
I almost said that same thing. I was like, I worry about him and or his therapist.
And Jason Lady says Warriors with Speedball. What's going to happen to him in the bubble dimension? And Eric Porter gave an idea and just says maybe do a side episode of Darkhawk 26 through 28 with the Warriors, another time travel story. So this is so far off in the future that you need not worry about it. But the idea that I had, assuming that we are still continuing this whole thing, is to cover the Darkhawk series after we're done with New Warriors. We'll see how that works.
I'm not fighting you on that, because I do love me some Dark Hawk.
Yes, thank you for the pause. There might be questions otherwise. Let's see. Is there anything else? No, I think that we're good. So we should rate the book. Anybody in the chat, please give us your ratings while we talk about our ratings. And I'll go first on it. It was a good book. Like the only thing that took me out, and I already gave that complaint, was like, I just wish that there was a steady art team on it. Like, it looks like by this time they had already decided that Richard Pace was going to be the penciler of the book. Cool. Give him an entire issue, not just 4 pages. May as well give him an entire issue and let people know. And then maybe if people comment and was like, this dude sucks, then like they could have gone in another direction maybe. Or they could have like, man, I can't wait to look forward to it because I will always go back to Spidey. And I remember during the Eric Larson run, they gave him a break. And one issue that had Boomerang in it, they let Mark Bagley draw the whole thing. And I was like, this dude can draw. And then sure enough, about 4, and I think they gave him that. So that gave Eric Larson time to draw Amazing Spider-Man 350. and then which was a double size. And then after that double size in 351, who takes over the book? Mark Bagley. So they could have given Richard Pace a good introduction just like that. I think that I would have enjoyed that very much. All of that said, it's an 8. I'm intrigued by the storyline. At first, I thought I was going to rate it lower, but having talked about the book, that we've gone over the normal time that we've talked about, it shows that there was a decent amount of density in this storyline and enough things that we could care about passionately. So I'm always happy when that comes about in the book. So I'm at an 8. I think it's good. I think that 49 and 50 are going to be even better. What do you think, Jarrod?
Much like you, when I finished reading this yesterday or the day before, its heaviness, especially on the justice and my not caring a lot about the Sphinx, I was like, this is like a 5 or a 6. But I love doing the show because the chat helps me out and you help me out, and I feel comfortable here making my thoughts known, and just what a great group of folks. So to say that, I'm going to bump it up to a 7. I think it was good, and I'm glad that the chat and you were able to make a place where I was able to talk about it and find, almost pause a cast, find the good and everything type of deal. So yeah, I'm going 7.
Yeah. I'm rooting for this storyline. I remembered it fondly, and especially given, like, I just keep thinking something happened behind the scenes. I can't remember who made the comment. I should have put it up. It was funny. They're like, the reason why they took Derek, that they took Fabian out the book is because he was writing every other Marvel book. So, like, maybe, like, but right around the time Child's Play came out, I was just like, something just feels a little off. It's not bad, but just something was just a little bit off. Like somebody was just behind the scenes, just nitpicking enough that just something just got off just a little bit. It hasn't derailed things in its entirety, but I just get the feeling that something was going on. Scott O'Neill gave the book a 9, says Derek's speedball pages are worth that all by themselves. Matt Passo says, I give this issue an 8, but this episode gets a 10. Flattery will get you everywhere, Matt.
Yes, sir. That's how he gets those calls to sit in when I'm gone.
Yes, he does. Those are the only ratings that I saw, but a very lively chat. Thank you all so much, ladies and gentlemen. That is the show. Please come back and join us for the next episode where we discuss New Warriors 49, where the New Warriors reach part 7 of 8 of Time and Time Again. So things have to be coming to a head. If you'd like to hear more from us, Longbox Crusade, you can find us all over social medias, to include Patreon. We have a Crusaders Club for only $1 a month, and Jarrod provides content there. I provide content there. Matter of fact, I got a song. I heard it. I need to do. It's a song by a group called Placebo that I need to be doing a recording for.
Is that really the group, or have they just replaced the group that you're supposed to listen to?
We're also available on Twitter, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Look for Longbox Crusade. You will find us, and you're listening to this live stream on YouTube. We really would appreciate. Tell a friend, please. We would love for more people to get access to our content, and a like does that, and telling a friend about it as well. We have recorded and live content there. You can email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com. Jarrod's probably scrolling the number on the bottom of the screen now, 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX. And Jarrod, please tell everybody where you can be found.
First of all, pick up the phone. If you want to chat with me, I am at Yard Sale Artist on X and Facebook and Instagram, and I would be happy to chat with you. But don't come and give me any spoilers about New Warriors in the future. I actually won't get that mad if you do, but I'd prefer it if you didn't.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of wonder and mystique that way. One more rating. Jason Lady gave it a 7. Says the multiple artists take it down a notch, but I love the gathering of the second team, a la Giant Size X-Men 1.
Yeah. That's
yep. You can find me. I'm on Threads at Delvin Ray, and I'm on Blue Sky DEERAY 1977. That's it, folks. See y'all next time. And remember, be a hero to someone, even if it's just to yourself. Till next month, y'all. Come off mute.
I was in such a hurry to grab the bottle.
New Warriors come out to play. Yay. Oh, yeah. Real quick. The Twitter reference I was making was to the Counting Crow song, Time and Time Again. Did you listen to it, Jarrod?
Sure.
Ridiculous. Have a good night, everybody.
I forgot to. Hey, before you go, everybody, if you want to listen to us play the New Warriors role-playing game, the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game, there's a lot of fun with Auburn Ellis. I know you mentioned it before, but it was our last doing it live stream. So just go to the LONGBOX YouTube page, click on live streams, and you can watch us be New Warriors. And it was kind of fun. So anyway, if you're into that, check it out.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.